Driver and guide today. We're going to leave Belfast here now and we're going to get to Carrickfergus. Let's get down to Carrickfergus. And we're going to make a stop there for about 20 minutes so we can see the castle, around the harbour, get some photos. Then after that we're going to commence the longest part of the journey today, which is when we go up the coast road. That'll be like an hour and 45 minutes, so good idea to use the toilets as well when we're in Carrickfergus. Then we're going to go right up to the very top of the country. We'll stop where the rope bridge is. We won't be crossing the bridge because unfortunately the National Trust sacked all their staff and the local community are boycotting them. They need a certain amount of staff to bring groups of people in. They haven't got it. So, idiots. Anyway, you're saving £15. We will still stop. You will still see the rope bridge photographs of it. Then after that we're going over to the Dark Hedges where we're going to stop to see one of the Game of Thrones locations. That's the King's Road in the Game of Thrones. Don't worry, if you're not a Game of Thrones fan, it's still a beautiful old Irish country estate. It's unkept, as I would call it. There's no National Trust people there with scissors or anything like that, cutting the grass. No restriction, you go anywhere you want. Like, you'll just be standing there and the next thing is a deer will just run across in front of you. Which means there's no health and safety there basically, so you need to be probably quite careful. You get to see the trees. There's also a hotel there where today, it's Sunday, you'll be able to get a Sunday carvery, roast beef, roast lamb, ham, turkey, all that sort of stuff, roast potatoes, traditional Irish sort of lunch, Sunday lunch. Although we do have Yorkshire pudding and things like that as well. Then we'll spend an hour there, half an hour for the Dark Hedges, half an hour for lunch. If you're not interested in the Dark Hedges, you can just have a couple of beers and a wine and look out over the beautiful scenery. Then after that, if you're into alcohol, we're then going to go to the Bushmills Whiskey Distillery, where we'll stop for half an hour. It's not a full tour, it's only a visit, so you have time to go down into the bar, the gift shop. If you're not into the whiskey distillery, there is a convenience store there and a little gift shop in the town of Bushmills. You could pop over to those. That's actually probably a good idea when we're there. So what we will do is probably, well, when you get to the Giant's Causeway, it's what I would call a tourist trap, okay? So, like, it'll be a fiver to get a bottle of Coke. So when you're at Bushmills, there's a convenience store there. Probably a good idea to buy bottles of water and Coke and that sort of stuff there, okay? Then we're going to go to the Giant's Causeway. We'll spend an hour and a half there. I would expect to be back in Belfast today. Let's say 6:30. Don't make any dinner reservations before 6:30. It'll be fine. If we're back earlier than that, that's sort of a bonus. So, right, let's go. Let's get out of here. Let's go up onto the motorway. We'll not be on the motorway for very long, as we're heading out towards the edge of Belfast Lock and out to Carrickfergus. So as we come up onto the motorway here, if you look over to your right, you will see two big yellow cranes. Those are the cranes of Harold and Wolf, called Samson and Goliath after the Bible characters. They were once the largest cranes in the world. And at the moment they're both right down this far end of the shipyard, which is very unusual. That only happens like once every 25 years. That's because there's a huge oil drilling machine ship thing in there being refurbished at the moment, and it's too tall to fit underneath the cranes. They just move the cranes up out of the way. I think the last time that happened was when there was really high winds and somebody forgot to put the handbrake on and both of them just like got pushed up the air there. A lot of panic going on that night. The shipyard hasn't produced a ship now in over 20 years. The most famous ship obviously produced was the Titanic way back in 1911, sank in 1912. Over 1,500 people lost their lives. Terrible, terrible tragedy. Although this happened, the people of Belfast are actually very proud of the fact the Titanic was built here. And they, how would you describe it, they have a saying here about it that is the Titanic was alright when it left Belfast. Then over to the left here you can see Cave Hill. Right on the top of this small mountain, big hill, there's a bit of rock sticking up in the middle. That's called Napoleon's Nose, because it looks a bit like Napoleon's nose. If you look to the left, you should be able to see a forehead, and the right, a mouth, a lips and a chin. The whole top of the mountain is in the silhouette of a man's face. About a third of the way up the hill is Belfast Castle. Belfast Castle there, not a proper defence castle like the one we're going to see in Carrickfergus. It's just really a large manor house. It's built by Lord Donegal, the 3rd Marquis of Donegal. And he basically gave it over to his son. His son inherited it. But his son was very fond of the old drink and gambling and women. and he proceeded to squander all the money, sold off all the furniture and the painting. You know, he was having a great time basically. Right up to the point that Belfast City Council were owed that much money. So then you think that you could do the old Irish dancing. Now, Michael Flatley, the Lord of the Dance, spent many years doing what he to be able to do what he does. No, you don't need to do that. You need 10 beers and half a dozen whiskies. And the next thing is you're up and you're flicking your legs away up in the air and you're jumping in from the left and you're jumping in from the right and you're going good. And then your mates are up doing it, you know, you're maybe at a wedding or a christening and everybody's had a few too many. You're all up, you're flicking the legs, jumping in, and then the next thing is you try to lift both legs off the ground at the same time. Boom! That can't happen. You see, there's this thing called gravity. And you end up on your backside. So how you get out of that one, avoid embarrassment, is you start breakdancing immediately. And then everybody, hopefully the music changes at the same time and you can get out of that one alright. So probably best to really avoid the Irish dancing there, some sort of like training, maybe a good word for it. It's like skiing. I've never been skiing, but I know I'm a natural. I don't need salopettes and all that fancy equipment. I need 2 skis, a pair of jeans. Okay everybody, we're just coming up to a little town called Glenarm, and on the right hand side, just if you look out to sea now in just a second, you see a series of nets. What these are actually a salmon farm. And this particular one is positioned here, and he has a salmon farm there. As we come into the town, I'm going to stop at the bridge that crosses over Glenarm River. That obviously the salmon would migrate up when they're going to lay their eggs. Then if you look up the left, you see an old bridge, which is the entrance into Glenarm Castle. And Glenarm Castle was built way back in the early 1600s by the MacDonald clan. So the MacDonalds are the leaders. As we go along the edge of the wall here, see all the ducks over to the sea. These the castle at all because of all the leaves that be on the trees. To the left. For a few years like a holiday home before then selling it on so it can be used as a hotel again. Very popular spot, for example on a Sunday here, people again coming up and having Sunday lunch, or afternoon teas and things like that. Busloads of pensioners and all would come up to it. I have been lucky enough to get into it one day, not when I was riding the bus, and was able to have a few pints. The beer was very good, crisp, and there's Everything's antique. It's like antique furniture, even antique carpets as far as I can work out. And you see a lovely big fireplace. You just see Winston Churchill leaning up against it with a big glass of brandy and a fat cigar hanging out of his mouth. Yeah, a nice spot, very nice spot. And the owners are very proud of the fact Winston Churchill, who did Game of Thrones, came here, paid all the business owners to close their businesses, and then they actually paid for all the boat owners to move their boats out of the harbour. The scene where Arya Stark comes up out of the sea, well, there's several different things happening here. She was either taught how to swim, there was an attempt at drowning, just trying to hide from the authorities basically. It's quite apt in this area. This is the Londonderry Arms on the left here. 2 yellow doors here, that's where the Churchill room is. They've named the bar the Churchill room. Great spot for a beer, definitely. Then this is the harbour here. So this whole government was in agreement with it. So they banned other religions having churches. Well, the Roman Catholics and the Presbyterians, which is the Church of Scotland, basically ignored this, like set up secret ones. They would have churches, they would hide them behind bushes, hide them in cellars and basements and all that sort of stuff. And this particular one just happens to be in a cave. This is the third cave along. Three caves now coming up on the left, disappearing behind the ivy. Probably had a curtain or something up. So them on the left here. And this is the secret school here. As you go to school in there, kids probably loved it. Probably not that pleasant for the teacher. They actually did have a left. The old Red Brick Castle, not a lot. Less and less every year. Then the time we're about to come into Cushendall here, there's a great town. It's famous for being drunk. Brilliant place for this. So much so that they actually had to build a drunk house. It's called the Red Curfew House. This is back in the 1600s. It was used right up until the 1900s. And it, what happened was a lot of people in this area still to this day would bake and drink potshie. What potshie is Protestant schools really, in Catholic schools. Whereas in Protestant schools, rugby would be played in football, cricket, hurley and killing football would be played in Catholic schools. That sort of identifies the town that we're coming through with the thought of as a Republican town. Other towns we're being through or going through today, you identify them as Loyalist town because we have lots of Union flags and Northern Ireland flags and things like that flying. Identity marking. So we're coming down to the bottom of the hill here, you'll see the red curve. So there's the Red Curfew House in front of us. At this point we're turning left, we're not actually still live, like this man's probably had this tractor since the 70s. Massey Ferguson tractors, Harry Ferguson was front, were actually quite native looking. Top of the glen was yellow weeks ago. And then later in the year the same thing comes out with a purple coloured flower. family. Oh, from that back of the ridge, you will actually, if you're in the hotel itself, you'll probably see some of his relatives in the place. Having a few beverages on a Sunday. Remember, the reason we're not crossing the bridge is not because the bridge is closed, but because the National Trust sacked all their staff during COVID. And all the local people, not interview Scotland, there's something that's asking me about, it's not Ben Nevis, but it is Scotland. The Isles of Craig, and sometimes you see it's like a cone-shaped island. Yeah, so they sacked all their staff during COVID, all the local people that work there all get sacked. They boycott National Distrust, and the National Distrust can't get enough employees to deal with large groups of people, and obviously we're a bus, so we're a large group of people.
We'll buy a house. We'll buy a house, we'll keep them.
There's a great test, right? Even in the middle of summer during the evening, it's always windy up there. Even if they calm, that's going to be nice when you get up the Causeway. So there's where we would have went. I would love for you to be crossing the road bridge, by the way. I could only sit there with tea and have a sandwich or whatever. Maybe not a sandwich. Up the rope bridge. And we're going to turn left and head out to Armoy to the Dark Hedges. Just over to the left there, you can just about to see a beach in the distance there. That is Portrush West Strand Beach, and just above that is Royal Portrush Golf Course, one of the very, very old golf links courses. That's where the Open, or the British Open, whatever they want to call it, was held back in 2019. A wall or something, you know, very dangerous, but very, very exciting. And go to that. Circuit of Ireland rally and the Ulster rally are all still held on the ordinary roads. They just close the roads off. Put a few bales of hay here and there, and everything's good to go. Paint a few black and white lines up beside it. Some rocks and things that could be harmful to yourself if you hit them too hard. So, alright, now you need to listen to me very carefully, or it will save you lots of money. Right, so we are at tunnel. Okay, you walk through the tunnel. It's a 1 kilometre walk down to the Causeway. If you don't want to walk, when you walk through the tunnel on the left, there's a shuttle bus. It goes up and down, I think it's £1 each way.